Good evening, welcome to Food Rebellion, and I'm now passing you over to your hosts, Toby and Dora.
Hello.
Hello.
Are
hi,
we here?
Toby.
How are you
Are
doing?
we?
Are we here?
I think we are.
I think we are. How's life?
Hey guys, we just lost your sound. I think you got muted. Live telly, eh?
Are we back? Hello.
Are we back?
You're back, thanks.
Don't know what happened with the sound there, but hello again.
You can do the intro again.
Yeah, okay. So,
Hello, this is
Food Rebellion, and this is
Toby, and
this is Dora, the amazing Dora. Wonderful.
and we are here to make what exactly, Toby?
These amazing. What are they?
On demand. We call them Yumburgers. And they're not only very delicious, but they're also very conscious choice for you if you're looking into transitioning into a plant-based diet, which is sustainable and just. Then we try to choose ingredients that are in line with that philosophy.
And our ethics and our philosophies as well. We're trying to get local, seasonal, and I think most of this is, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
And this is all homemade, apart from the vegetables, which we haven't grown, and one day we will.
Yes. So everything you see here, all the juicy mayonnaise and the buns and the burger patties were made by us. It's actually quite fun.
It is, and it's actually it's not too difficult, is it, at all? The buns you've tried a few times, because I think bread and baking is a bit of an art. But we've just started it, so we're making
Funnily,
mistakes.
actually, the first set I made turned out the best, and ever since I've been struggling. So just go for it.
Exactly, and these are great. I mean, with regard to transitioning, it's really, really useful for some people, isn't it? Because food is very important. The diet is very particular and very personal to some people, and people are used to certain foods, certain presentations on their plate, and so forth. And if these foods can be replicated or transferred from a meat dish to a non-meat dish to a plant-based dish in a good way, in a way that makes it easier for people to transition, then this is amazing. I think it's a really, really good thing.
Yeah, absolutely. So when the lockdown is done or over, or maybe gets a bit looser, and you are aching to get your burger from McDonald's, maybe stay with us and try out how you can make that burger for yourself at home, and also give it to your children and your parents and your guests, whoever you're going to meet and eat these burgers with. I promise they don't taste like McDonald's burgers at all, so don't expect that, because they taste a lot better.
Yeah, well, they're homemade, and you also have control on what you put in when you're homemade. And you mentioned McDonald's and other burger joints and fast food joints. And there's a big debate, isn't there, in the animal rights movements with regard to whether, these huge chains, these huge burger chains or huge fast food chains, huge conglomerates, big business, very, very damaging to the world, to human life, to plant life, to animal life, to the planet itself, promoting, animal agriculture, promoting that fast food culture, promoting, and which leads to obesity, leads to lots and lots of problems, social problems as well. And we debate whether there's a debate, because there's a vegan burger, I believe, in McDonald's, and there's vegan KFC, there's vegan pizzas, there's vegan this, vegan that. So a lot of people saying, even though there's vegan burgers, I won't go to McDonald's, or I won't go to Burger King or any of the other joints of fast food joints, because of the damage they do. But they're on the other flip side, which flipping burger side. A lot of people say, well, okay, if you're 14, 15, teenager, 16, 17, whatever, and your friends are all going out eating burgers, and you're a vegan, or you're trying to be a vegan, plant-based, then having a vegan option in one of those places where you can hang out with your friends, have that as an option, and actually talk about it to other people and say, your friends might say, what are you having? I'm having a vegan option. Why? And then you can talk about the why. So it's a bit of a difficult debate. And
what is your take on that? Would you eat a vegan McDonald's burger or a vegan KFC?
Personally, I have eaten a vegan KFC.
Have you?
Don't you remember?
I wasn't there.
No, you weren't there, because I was going back from on a motorway journey. And I sent you the video. Do you remember? I made a video. Did you remember it?
It never happened.
It did happen anyway. And it did taste like KFC. I actually felt really bad for supporting a big corporation, but I just wanted to see what it was like. I won't do it again, I don't think. But I'm not a teenager. I'm not the person who needs to be where everyone else is. And if everyone else needs me to be there in a place that I don't approve of, and they're not friends with me because of that, then so be it. I'd rather have a plant-free, oppressive-free, plant-free, suffering-free, oppressive-free world. And what about yourself? I mean, have you ever tried any of these?
I don't think I have actually, and I'm not intrigued at all. I think now that I know what is behind these businesses, I'm not at all interested. But what I'm interested in is actually more of the home cooking stuff.
Oh,
yes, and really knowing what goes into my food and being able to trace back all those ingredients for my consciousness, for myself, which is the reason why we're doing these plant-based, 90% locally sourced burgers.
Yep, and homemade, and you know, these are very, very tasty. We actually tried them out earlier on.
Yes,
and they're really
Toby
good.
just had to.
I did.
If you have any questions about either the burgers or plant-based lifestyle, or Animal Rebellion or Extinction Rebellion, which are the flags you can see, or Animal Liberation Front for that matter, or PETA for that matter, anything that you see, or just want to ask how we are, please do. And please also comment how you are, because we would love to hear from you. Any suggestions, thoughts, just how you feel today, just share with us, and we are going to be checking the chat and respond as much as we can.
So welcome to everyone from YouTube, Twitter, Facebook. This is an honor for us to be here. And we welcome you into our home. And these are Yumburgers, not hamburgers, Yumburgers.
We named them Yumburgers.
Well, Dora did. Genius. I love it.
Genius. So anyway, what are we doing here?
You may as well get on.
So for every burger, you would normally find eggs in the recipe. But in plant-based cooking, there is a trick that you can do to replace the eggs, which is with flax seeds. If you put flax seed with a little bit of water into a pot for like 5 minutes, it's going to have this very sticky consistency, which is going to do the job for you and act as the egg, the sticking agent in your bun that you're creating. So that's what I'm doing here. I just put them aside at the beginning of this show. So it's 1 tablespoon of flax seed and 2 tablespoons of water. And in the meantime, I'm also just making some water hot over here, which is going to be the bed for the yeast, because we are going to just give a bit of care to the yeast before we put in the flax egg and the flour and all the ingredients, and then make the buns and put them to the oven. But I just want to double check. Ooh, the buns are almost done.
I know. These are some buns that Dora made earlier on. Because we're trying and testing them out, and as we say, this is new for us, so we make mistakes. We're learning as we go along in life, as we do all the time. So these are looking good. I think they need a little bit more, don't they? Would you say they're a little bit light? I mean, you're the bun queen.
Oh,
sounds a bit
wow!
dodgy.
Yeah, they're quite soft actually. So that's
carry on.
Yeah, a little bit, maybe 5 more minutes.
Okay, and Dora's making the buns, and I'll be making the burger patties. Burger patties is actually really, really, really easy. I've actually got a can of mixed beans. They suggested me in the recipe black beans, but beans are beans. They're very, very high in protein. And this has chickpeas, kidney beans, butter beans, and I'm not sure what these coloured beans are. Very lovely flicked coloured beans, that's what they are. And what we do, very, very simply, is get a bowl and just pour them in. Pour them in. And again, I think I've shown you this on another episode or whatever it is we do. When you get a can, you open it up and you empty it out, put the top in and close it up, because it stops animals going in, the ones who may raid your bins. And it stops them going in because a lot of animals get their faces caught on these cans, which is actually really, really awful. Really, really sad and really dangerous.
Thank you so much, TJ, for the comment. He says it looks good.
Thank you.
Cesar says sandwiches. Fair enough. I think they can be called sandwiches as well as burgers. So yeah, plant-based sandwiches.
Plant-based sandwiches.
That works too for us.
Sandwich,
yes. Are you trying it out? I hope that you are cooking with us, and please let us know if you ever tried something like this, or if you're cooking with us tonight. Would love to know.
Yeah, and how it goes would be beautiful. So out of interest, are you using this?
Not really.
Can I use it?
Please do, yes.
I need to use it. So this was just water, so I'm just going to wash it out.
So there is a comment from he or she says, I'm sorry, I can't say for sure, might be good to do what the Hare Krishnas do and take it in the cart on a bike to feed the BLM protesters. That way you will link the movement and simultaneously do plant-based outreach. That is actually a really poignant comment, isn't it?
Very much so.
Very much so. And yeah, should we just address what's happening in London? Oh, a lot is happening in London anyway, and around the world, and in America as well. So if you guys follow the news, you're probably aware of the very tragic death of this gentleman called George Floyd. And there's a lot of stuff happening in the UK and around the world, actually, about this unfortunate event. And in particular, Extinction Rebellion is taking a stance on that, and there's going to be a joint action between Extinction Rebellion and Black Lives Matter next week. There are going to be various events. So if you wish to partake, there are going to be many things where you can join in. And
so yeah, George Floyd, say my name, say his name. Very important, very sad situation. And we were thinking, I mean, there is so much going on in the world, isn't there? And so much to talk about. Actually, one thing I was thinking about, everything in the news now is COVID. I mean, I don't even know what's happening in Syria anymore, or in other parts of the world where, is the Amazon still burning? I know Thailand's probably still burning. You don't hear about it anymore, do you?
That is very true. It's actually a really good point. And I suppose people only have that much capacity and brain capacity to consume all the information, which is probably not an excuse for us to not know things. But at the same time, it's very hard to keep up to date as well.
It's very hard. Yeah. Excuse my voice. I'm a teenager, maybe going to McDonald's. Not.
You're going to their McDonald's.
Yeah, I'm going to carry on making this burger. So basically, what I've done, simplest thing so far, is I've emptied a can of beans into a bowl, and now I'm going to get a third of a cup, which is this measurement here.
Sorry, I'm just going to check.
Of course. Third of a cup is this measurement here. Going to pour it in. A little bit it goes over, it doesn't matter. So pour that in. Simple. That can go to the side and that can go to the side. And then in the ingredients, it says a shallot. But they're not in season at the moment. But spring onions are in season. So we've got 2 spring onions instead of 1 shallot. And I'm going to cut them off. I'll cut the heads off first. Like this, and then like this. And then with this one, I peel the dry skin off. Is it skin? Would you call it skin?
I don't know. It's probably a skin, isn't it?
There, it is a skin. And the same here. These are slightly last weeks, but they're still in season. Spring onions are wonderful to add to any salads, any sandwiches, any burgers. It just freshens everything up for you.
And they are on season right now. So what we did with all the recipes that we were looking at as inspiration, whether it is mayonnaise or the burger buns or the burger patties, is we try to find all the alternates that are local and seasonal, which is probably the least harm that it will cause. And that's probably the most you can do at an individual level right now. Obviously, Extinction Rebellion is working towards a systemic change. Should be able to make these options easy for everybody. So if you are a mother of 4 children and you don't have time to look into all these recipes and alternates and foraging in the forest, these should be readily available for you. So you cause the least harm as you feed your kids at the same time.
Yeah.
But right now, what we can do is just to share these ideas with you on how you can make something like this, which probably your family is familiar with, either burgers or sandwiches or whatever you want to call them. They are tasty, they are familiar, comfortable food items, and make them with the least amount of harm, keeping in mind the people who carry the burden of our lifestyles, as well as the environment and climate change, which I think if you watch this, you probably are all concerned about. And this is the reason why you, just like us, probably try to look into alternate options that are less harmful.
Yeah, just trying to do your best in a world that's sort of doesn't really allow us to do as well as we could, and that can be very frustrating at times. I mean, I get very frustrated sometimes that I need to drive to work at the moment because I need to earn money to buy food and to have a shelter. So it's that kind of thing. I mean, maybe first world problems, but that's okay. I'm fine.
Can I just show this?
Please do. These look when they smell.
All right. So we're making these buns right now for the burgers or sandwiches. But I pre-made this batch so we can show you guys. And when we assemble the buns, we have something to work with. And I think this turned out quite well.
Look at that. We're not close. So I think maybe we'd love to see them.
It's going to fall off.
Oh, will it?
Yeah, and I'm not too
Oh, we don't
strong,
want
to
to
be honest.
You're strong as anything.
Yes, there you go. The buns.
Buns.
Turned out quite well. The recipe says use some oil to glaze it. I don't want to, so I didn't. Because it's an additional component that is added just for beauty. I don't really care about that anymore. I do care about beauty, but I don't care about using more oil just for the sake of making a bun more beautiful.
Yeah.
It's just as tasty. So whatever, it's great, and I'm going to put this aside.
And we don't have to sell them to anyone or anything, so it's not a problem.
Even if you did, I think.
Well, very true.
You know, why not sell truth and why not sell real food instead of these glazed, gorgeous cupcakes?
Sell the truth as well as tell the truth. So with these spring onions, because I'm gonna have to mash this up all together, and we decided we're not going to use a mixer wherever possible. Is that right? That's right, isn't it? So I'm cutting these up into small bits. So I slice them long ways like this. And I'm just cutting them up into as small chunks or pieces as I possibly can. And on this, I'm just doing, because the spring onions aren't necessarily that fresh enough, but not fresh enough to have the green end to it. Again here. And if you've just arrived, if you've just joined us, welcome. Welcome, we are cooking tonight. What are we cooking tonight? Yumburgers or yum sandwiches?
It's yum sandwich burgers. And whether you're joining from Instagram or Twitter or Extinction Rebellion UK, welcome. And I hope you're staying with us. We're going to chat about a lot of things, mostly about sustainable food and how we as two regular, I shouldn't say that, right?
No,
we're not very regular, we're quite privileged in many ways, but I think that is an important aspect as well, is that we all need to make change. Whatever layer of society you live in, change will happen, whether we want it or not. So this show is just to show how we in particular address the situation. So we make food items like these every week on Extinction Rebellion UK to try to challenge ourselves and stretch our limits and make foods that have a lower impact than the alternatives that we previously had that had a lot higher impact.
And maybe to inspire.
And maybe to inspire, or get inspired.
Or get inspired. That's a very good point, because all your comments, all your questions and ideas are so welcome. So please send something, and we'll answer whatever we can online. And we always go afterwards and have a look at what you've all said, because the comments have actually a lot of the comments have made us think a lot about how we live and what we do. And it's really helped us. So you're all inspirations to us. So thank you very, very much for that. Really beautiful.
I'm not really progressing with my stuff, so the buns are never going to get ready.
They will, because you're amazing. Well, I haven't got much to do, so shall I just finish off my bit?
Yes.
Because then I'm just going to square it. So the last thing I'm going to do. So far we've had a can of beans, a third of a cup of oats, some chopped up spring onions, and I've got 2 cloves of garlic here, which I've peeled, and I'm going to grate them in just on the coarse grater side of it, just like that. Pretty simple. It's a bit boring watching me grate, but it's not great. That was a dad joke.
That's a dad joke.
That's a bad. This is great. This is.
So what are the mom jokes then? Because there should be.
Actually, that's very true.
What is a mom joke like?
A mom joke's a lot better, a lot more complicated, a lot well thought out.
That's overcompensation of the matter.
A lot more empathetic, compassionate, beautiful. I'm sorry, I'm going to do this. That is very true. I mean, Yeah, why are they called dad jokes? I don't know.
So in the meantime, I'm just trying to progress with the bun, and I am just stirring up this half a cup of plant milk. We are using oat. Normally, this is right now, I think, soya, but you can use any plant milk that you wish. Oat is probably the best because it can be locally sourced.
Yeah.
So half a cup of milk. I've got 2 tablespoons of oil and 2 tablespoons of sugar. The recipe says cane sugar, but with cane sugar, the thing is that sometimes sugar in the process gets filtered through animal materials of animal origin. So right now what I have is coconut sugar, which is not the best because it's imported from far, far away. So if anyone knows good sugar alternative that we could use and is locally sourced, then please let us know, because I haven't been able to unlock that problem yet, how to do it. And apart from that, we've got a little bit of salt in this. By the way, if you want to see the full recipe, it's in the blurb.
Yeah.
Go up and find it out. And just going to add the flax egg, which was waiting on the side for a while here.
Would you like to explain what that is again?
Yes.
It's really interesting.
Yeah, I can actually show it maybe. It's not very appetizing, so don't expect something very yummy. So flax egg is just flax seeds with water, like 1 spoon of flax with 2 spoons of water. And after a while, it's going to create this very sticky consistency. I'm sorry.
It's beautiful.
It's like this, plop. And this is, as you can see, it's very jelly. And because of this consistency, it will work like the egg in the dough. It's going to stick it all together.
Yeah, it's genius. It's a really, really good alternative for eggs. And this is a really good alternative for meat burgers.
Can you actually maybe talk about why you're not using eggs? Because I don't think it's necessarily so obvious.
So,
yeah,
that is true. I mean, the egg industry. So a lot of people think, chickens lay eggs anyway. Chickens will produce all these eggs for us. A lot of people think they produce them for us. The truth of the matter is, it's an awful industry. Even when you have, for example, my mother had ex-battery chickens, and the battery farms are, you just don't want to think about them. They're absolutely awful for every animal, every bird, every creature that lives in these farms. Anyway, that's an awful thing to go into. But when I first went plant-based, I ate a couple of eggs from the chickens from my mother's backyard, ex-battery hens, and I thought that was fine because these are saved. They're in a sanctuary of my mother's back garden, and I thought they produce eggs anyway. Truth of the matter is, they do produce eggs anyway, but we have mutated them so much that they produce way more than they normally would. A wild chicken, back in the day when they were wild chickens, I think they probably are in some corners of the world, they produce 10 to 20 eggs a year, seasonal, like any other wild animals. They'll seasonally become fertile and seasonally have babies and lay eggs. We have mutated it in bred with big layers, as it were. So now chickens these days can produce between 300 to 400 eggs a year. And to produce an egg, you need a lot of energy. I mean, one egg, the size of the egg compared to the size of the chicken is actually quite astounding. And a chicken can lay its own body weight in eggs per month. So that's like me laying 80 kilos of eggs a month. Imagine the energy and basically the energy that's needed for that. And that's near enough an egg a day. Some of them lay 2 or 3. And it's very, very sad. It's painful. If you've ever seen an egg, chicken laying an egg, the whole process doesn't look very, very comfortable at all. I had the idea that they just popped out, but they just don't. It's a difficult process. And it drains them of calcium, and it drains them of protein, it drains them of all the things that the eggs are supposedly good for us for. So one other thing is, just very quickly, is in the egg industry, the male chicks, what happens to the male chicks? So all these, these hatcheries send female chicks to the egg industry, to the farms, the egg farms, but the male chicks are obsolete, they're not needed. So a lot of them are just discarded, 1 day old, just sent and macerated, sometimes drowned and sometimes suffocated. So it's an awful, awful situation. I mean, I could go on and on and on about eggs, but that's the basic about eggs and how awful it is. Sorry, I did go on a bit.
It's great, And the funny thing is that instead of that, the solution is so easy. Using flaxseed and water is doing the same job. So why not? And for scrambled eggs, there are amazing plant-based recipes with chickpea and so forth.
And can I just quickly, finishing the eggs, if you do have any backyard eggs, chickens, and you feel that you want to give something back to them, give them back their eggs, give them back the protein and the calcium and the energy that they put in, because they'll eat them. So
yeah, no, it's a really, really good point and not very well known. And I just want to apologize to everybody who commented and we didn't react back to. We had some technical issues here, but wow, big shout out to Hugo in California, please.
Hey, Hugo,
yes,
how are you doing? Please.
Please.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. From YouTube, Will, TJ, and John on XR Facebook pages and Colin on Instagram.
Hey, Callum.
And we've got a lot of questions as well.
Well, we had one from Emma Hawkins saying she would like to cook with us, but the recipe, wondering where the recipe was, and it's actually on the blurb, on the event blurb,
yes.
Isn't it?
So I'm just touching the water, not because I'm like disgusting, but it has to be just hot enough. Can you please add this yeast?
Of course
just
I can.
sprinkle around.
Yep.
Just want to ask you a question. What milk do you recommend as the most sustainable? Question from, Rachel is saying that she finds oat quite watery. Really good point. Amazing. So I'm not sure what's the best next in the UK. If you can grow poppy seeds in the UK, please let me know. I'm actually going to look it up myself. But I've got friends who make poppy seed milk at home. And that could be potentially an answer for you or something to try out at least.
Also hemp milk. Hemp milk is there's a UK, I can't remember what the company's called, but they grow hemp in the UK and hopefully they'll grow hemp everywhere, soon, because it's an amazing product. And that can be very creamy. But what I might suggest is also when you get the oat milk is to shake it vigorously before you pour it in, because I think it sometimes separates up. So if you just pour it in, it can be a bit watery on the top.
You know what? I had a friend who said, I always hated oat milk for my entire life because it was too watery. I'm not saying like you are doing this, Rachel, at all, but this happens. And she said after years, she realized she had to shake it up. So it might still be too watery for you, but if that's the case, maybe try shaking it up. And we've got a big shout out to Bradley, who says, "Shine on you, crazy rebels.
Shine on
you, Bradley."
Thank
and
you.
Caroy and Kerry are watching on YouTube, and Gary from Scotland.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
We're so honoured.
Hi, everybody.
If you have any ideas, any questions, any suggestions for what we can do, any more information, because we're just two people with things we know, things we try and learn, and we're always trying to learn. We're not here saying we know everything. We know diddly. We know very, very little. And listening is so important. Active listening, very, very important. So may I carry on?
Yes, I'm sorry, I'm still in the middle.
No, that's fine. Are there any more questions or any more?
There was an interesting comment from Jack, and I would like to encourage everybody to join into the chat and let's talk about any subject. We're going to try to give the answers as best as we can. But there's one from Jack I find very interesting. He says, fast food places having vegan options have enabled me to avoid being left out when eating with friends.
Yeah.
I think a lot of us must have gone through something like this at the beginning of our plant-based or vegan journey.
Very much.
It can definitely relate to that.
Yeah, and that's a very good point. It's not only do you might feel left out if you go to a fast food joint or fast food place with your friends and there's no option for you, but also when there is an option, a vegan option, a plant-based option, you can actually talk about it. You can talk about why you've chosen plant-based. It brings it into conversation, which is really, really, really useful in any kind of advocacy.
Although I don't think I would go to a fast food place anymore, like Burger King or McDonald's or KFC.
KFC or anywhere. Me neither.
Because I think once I started to get active with Extinction Rebellion and I understood the magnitude of the problem and how much climate change affects all animals as well that I originally cared about anyway, and human and non-human animals at the same time, I think I realized I have to start looking into things about more deeper and maybe a bit more strict in my choices to myself, and obviously not like telling you need to do that. I think this is a story about us.
Yeah.
So now if I with every single step in life, I suppose I always double check, like, where does that come from? Where does this come from? Where does that come from? And there are no right answers. There is no sustainable source, as far as I know, for energy right now.
No.
Not to my standards anyway.
I mean, the only option is to reduce your draining of the energy, to reduce your need for energy. and to change your lifestyle wherever you can. So this is an example actually right now. What we're trying to do is trying to do that, trying to reduce the energy we suck from fossil fuel burning and from everywhere. And we're trying to create foods that need as little electricity as possible, and where we have the option to change, we will. So normally with this ingredient here, which is for the patty, it's a can of beans, some third of a cup of oats, some diced spring onion.
Why spring onion?
Spring onion is seasonal. In the recipe it says shallots, but spring onion is seasonal. This is why we've chosen that. And 2 cloves of garlic. I've also put some salt and pepper, and I'm going to put some thyme. But normally this would go into what's normal? Back in the day before we started considering what we do in our lives and how we can change, this would have gone in the mixer. And actually these changes came from comments from yourselves. So thank you very much for this. It made us think about this. How privileged we are to have a mixer, and how privileged we are to have this and that. And it's very, very important to think about this. So instead of doing that and whizzing it up and going, and burning unnecessary fossil fuel, I'm going to be pummeling this with a potato masher.
Good old potato masher.
And this is actually, it's quite tiring, but one of the good things about doing this is I have physical exercise at the same time. So I'm using my shoulders, my lungs, my heart, and instead of just pressing a button and burning fuels, I'm actually burning calories probably at the same time. Yeah. So this is a good reason to do as much physical work as possible, which is why I love my job, gardening. I love it.
You know what's the next physical job that's coming up here?
I don't know.
It's going to be the dog.
Oh, yeah.
You guys might laugh if you are from a previous generation, or you just know how to make dough. Please do share your love with me and just comment how wrong I'm doing it, because it's probably not the right way. But I remember my grandmother making dough, and I'm trying to sort of copy that from memory. So you guys will see how that's done. Again, in the recipe, it says use a blender to process the dough for 10 minutes. But because we don't have a blender anymore here, we're just going to use our hands and call it a gym. So you'll see what it means.
Gym cooking. Gym rebellion.
Oh, guys, the other day, I told you about the rubber bands.
Oh, yeah.
So
that sounds great.
You can actually mix combine the two, do some squats, and then do the dough. Or the best thing is you can use these rubber bands if you already have them. And
what are they called? Restraining bands? No, not restraining bands.
I think just rubber band. So I don't know. I do think this process is interesting, the dough making.
Dough making is.
So what I'm doing here, and I'm sorry if you guys already know this, I had no idea how to do, so I self-taught myself recently. I'm just folding this half, and then I press on this. What do you call this part of the palm? The bottom palm, and then just fold again and press.
It's the heel of the palm. It's actually the heel. Right, the foot.
Yes. And I'm just going to do this for 10 minutes.
So we're both working out here. This is great. We're doing gym. We need to let's get physical. So I'm working out here, and Dawn's working out here. So I was thinking, while we're working out, shall we talk about what happened yesterday? All over the UK, the action. It was a wonderful action that Extinction Rebellion
called upon.
Yeah, it was nationwide. I think it was about how many different groups are there?
I'm laughing. Taryn loves you working your arms on that.
I'm working it.
Work it, baby.
Work it, baby.
Work it.
Work it. So yeah, okay, back to the action yesterday. So the action yesterday happened at 12 o'clock for an hour all across the UK. And it was basically, what was it? Changes Now, Decide Together. And we went to significant and relevant places such as county councils, parliaments. Like in London, it was Parliament Square, I believe, where decisions are made. And we were actually went as individuals. We turned up all as, like Dora and I went together because we lived together. And we respected social distancing. In fact, we actually all did that even more. So we made sure we were 3 meters apart. We all wore gloves. We wore masks, and made sure we kept to that for the whole hour. We held up signs And the idea is basically that we don't want to go back to the normality that brought us into this situation. Not only the COVID situation, but the climate catastrophe situation, the animal suffering situation, the human oppression situation, all these different types of oppressions. And this is what that normality has led us to. We're you know, it's not a very great position that we're in, or that we've got to. And we have a chance right now to actually make a change, because the whole world has paused, the whole world has slowed down. And now that everything, the governments and the leaders are bringing us back slowly, releasing us into normality, we want to question what that normality is, and maybe ask our leaders to look at different options. That's, you know, you and I really don't know the ins and outs and the details of the different options, but there are some suggestions that we know about. But there are so many experts out, scientists, accountants, psychologists, gardeners.
I think the point, sorry,
No, please, you can always.
But I feel very strongly about this, because what we need in this situation, in my humble opinion, is not only people who had the opportunity and privilege to learn and study, but people who who didn't have those opportunities to have a say on where the system is going.
So true.
Those who are the most affected, and you don't have to go as far as Africa to find these people. Here in the UK, we have people who are struggling day by day, and the idea of a citizens' assembly is going to help this problem, hopefully. I mean, that's what Extinction Rebellion is hoping for, because then everyday people like you, me, anyone watching this video, or not watching this video for that matter, because maybe a person is busy with 3 kids, or busy helping someone who has disabilities or changed abilities, or
doesn't even have internet, because not everyone has internet.
That's very true. So those people could and should have a say in where we are going, and no one alone can solve this situation. So everybody's voice is equally important and should be added to that mix.
So you mentioned Citizens Assembly there. Do you want to explain a bit more about it? What does it mean to you?
What does it mean to me? I've never been to one.
No. And the idea of it, the principle, and what is it?
The idea is that it's a group of randomly selected people, and they would be working together with the government. This is not an extra idea or a new concept. This has existed before for many, many years. And this is a way of reinventing our democracy, which obviously hasn't really been democratic enough according to a lot of people. And go back to the dough, because I have been working on this for a while now. And this is where we are. So again, this is fully plant-based, made out of white flour, but you can mix it up with different flours, and we're going to experiment ourselves as well. Flax egg, a bit of plant milk, and yeast. And I think that's it basically. And what I'm going to do now is to put some cloth on it and keep it in a warm location. It will need to sit for about an hour, and then I'm going to separate it into small buns and then bake it for about 20 minutes. So that's done. Have you got some comments? So
yeah, we've got some comments, some shout outs. I mean, please keep them coming. Hello, YouTube. Hello, Instagram, Facebook. Hello to everyone. Welcome. We're actually making, we'll go to the shout outs now. Just in case you just arrived, we're making these yummy Yumburgers, yum sandwiches, whatever you want to do. These are plant-based and a great way to transition, and a great way, as you go to plant-based, just to eat wonderful homemade and seasonal and local food. This is all seasonal and local. Homemade buns, homemade patties, one-day homegrown vegetables, and Dora actually made some homegrown sauces as well, which is really, we're really enjoying it. Really lucky. So we have a question from Taylor watching on YouTube. Hi, Taylor. How long have we been vegan? So how long have you been vegan, Dora?
It is over 4.5 years now.
That's
wow,
amazing.
it's
That's
crazy.
really cool.
How about you?
Yeah, I'm just about, well, just for 4 years. If you're vegan for 1 day, for 1 minute, it's absolutely amazing. I mean, I should never say just, or plant-based. So yeah, 4 years and 4.5 years, which is actually, veganism, going plant-based, changed my life. Changed the way I looked at things, changed the way I looked at the system that has always told me that that I needed meat, that I needed dairy for calcium, that I needed eggs, that I needed honey, that I needed a car with leather, and I needed a leather belt and leather shoes. And I actually realized I don't need any of these. This is not a necessity to live. It's not a necessity to thrive. And it's actually really, really awful for the animals involved, the trillions of animals, the fish, the farmed animals, the wild animals that are killed, the animals in fur farms, and so on and so forth. And also it's awful for the world. Really bad for the environment, because deforestation, the main reason for deforestation is cattle farming in the Amazon and all over the world. So you cut down the trees that are our lungs, that are absorbing the CO2 that we're emitting, and the animal agriculture is emitting. So it's a cycle that's just drilling us into a catastrophe. So a big shout out to Orjan, is it Orjan from Norway? From Norway, how amazing. And Alan from France, watching on Facebook.
You want to finish the burgers? So
yeah, I'll finish the burgers. I've actually finished the burgers. So do you want to see the patty mix is just here. It actually smells amazing. The consistency is great. And what we need to do is leave this 30 minutes in the fridge. Then this goes into the oven at 200 degrees. And then after 15 minutes, you flip them. And then 10 minutes after that, it's ready. So this is really, really simple, really, really beautiful. You can see it's a good consistency for burgers. So I hope you enjoy making this. I enjoy making this. And it's high in protein, high in wonderful nutrients. So that's it. I'll put this in the fridge.
All right. I'm just going to take out the plates. I think it's time to assemble our burgers, the final look.
So we've got, where's the burger? Oh, we've got,
oh, shall we?
I think we should.
I have to be honest, I took out a burger from the previous burgers we made because we haven't got the new ones ready yet.
Yeah.
But that's fine, maybe just going to put them together. You want to go ahead, actually?
I think you're always better at presentation. Would you like me to?
Yes,
okay.
please.
All right. So I'm going to cut this with a bread knife. Oh, this is smooth and soft. How beautiful.
Oh, it actually looks really great.
Look at that.
I'm really proud of this one.
I think Dora should be very proud of this. This is third attempt, I think, was it? And they've all been wonderful and all been very good.
The second one wasn't great, but this is good.
So where are the sauces? May I have the sauces?
Yeah. Oh, we haven't talked about the sauces.
I'll go and talk about
So
sauces.
this is vegan mayo. Can I get a spoon, please?
Of course.
It is so easy to make, but once you know the ingredients, you might never want to make it ever again, because this is pretty much oil, which is probably what you get in the normal oil, normal mayo as well. Which probably explains why our burger is so unhealthy.
Well,
it's really not the bun; it's all this mayonnaise. But if you see the consistency, it's like the egg-based mayo. It's like the jiggly as well. But it's mayo and apple cider vinegar. What else is there? A bit of plant milk, salt, pepper, and that's it.
it's really, really easy. Really
And
simple.
we made a second one.
Should I do that?
You help me with that.
I've got a spoon for that.
So this is similar to the other mayo, but when I made this, I mixed in some tomatoes, cherry tomatoes, which is not seasonal right now, not yet. So that's a bit of a cheat to the local seasonal subject. But I just wanted to show you how that works anyways. You don't have to use this, absolutely not. But if you do, maybe later on in the season, then you can just mix that into your vegan mayo recipe. Some tomatoes, so then you have that tomatoey, ketchupy sauce feeling, and we got a bit of English mustard just for the kick as well.
Yeah, and sauce is always wonderful in burgers. I mean, it just, again, it's the transition.
Sauce.
We have the transition of the tastes, the way it is, the way we're used to these things. So a burger with all these homemade sauces just brings it back to sort of, maybe, some people have burgers as comfort food. And the comfort in eating this food is a knowledge, and these burgers specifically, is a knowledge that no animal has died for it, which is actually very comforting for me.
And also the fact that these were brought from, the garden or from within the UK. So even with that, you are causing the least harm you possibly can.
Yeah.
Because you have to eat, right? You can't not eat. But at least you can be conscious of.
That's so very true. Look at this. I mean, it just looks amazing. It looks beautiful, and I can assure you, it tastes divine.
And can we maybe talk about some easy swaps that we found? Because I think it could be interesting for people. So for example, if you're eating a burger and you don't have lettuce, but the spinach is in season, then just have spinach. And if you need onions,
Yep.
but some onions are not in season, have another type of onion that is. So for example, for shallot, we replace it with spring onion. So yeah.
And herbs, the same herbs in season, different herbs, different. You can have herbs that are grown in the UK. You may in the recipe have herbs that you can't actually grow in the UK. They suggest these herbs, but you can always find replacements. I can't remember what it was, some kind of bay seasoning they suggest in the ingredients in the recipe for the burger patty. We put thyme, just dried thyme, salt and pepper.
Can I just appreciate this?
Oh.
Actually, this worked out quite really well. I'm very happy with this bun today.
It looks beautiful, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is something you can make within, I would say the burger buns take about 2 hours altogether, but the working time is 20 minutes. It's just the waiting time that makes it longer. The burger patties took you, 15 minutes?
Oh, yeah.
Plus baking, or maybe less.
Yeah,
making is 5 minutes.
Making is 5 minutes, just chunking in and pummeling, and that's it.
Yeah. And the mayo took me 3 minutes. Not even that.
It's really quick.
Yeah.
So we have one more question from YouTube. May we? This is a very good question.
Maybe last one.
Yeah, this is the last one, but please send them and we'll respond to them afterwards. From Eric on YouTube. Hi, Eric. How are you doing? How do you recommend getting out of the culture of quick food, and how did you make more time to cook?
It's the best question.
It's a great question.
Do you want to answer it?
Well, it's a complicated question. I mean,
It's a long question. Do you have 40 more minutes?
Yeah. So how would you recommend getting out of the culture of quick food? I think for me, and I can only speak for me, it's the pleasure in the knowledge of what we've put in that makes the difference, and knowing that the impact that we've made when we've made this food, when we're eating it, and when we digest it, that it's been a minimal impact, or at least as minimal as possible. I think that makes for me a big difference. That's why I stay away from fast food and quick food. Sometimes when there's quick food, and sometimes it's necessary, but quick food doesn't necessarily have to be unhealthy. You know, this is relatively quick. If we weren't yabbering all the time, this would have been half an hour. Yeah,
you do take quick foods with you to work. So, for example, nuts and seeds.
Oh yeah.
Easy swap for something else.
Oh, so good. Nuts and seeds. I could survive on nuts and seeds. Oh, I could. I love them.
What is the second part of the question?
And the second part is, how do you make more
that's
time
such an important question. Well, first of all, I think we are very lucky because we don't. I don't want to say because we don't have kids. I shouldn't say that. It's not that. Don't erase.
It's not necessarily lucky.
It's not luckiness. No.
Yeah.
Like, we don't have kids, so we don't have to have kids in the red bread either. Come on, I'm just going to finish by.
So no.
No, that's not what I meant. But we're lucky because we do have time after work to work on food and figure out recipes and so forth. But it has been a process as well, because I have been one of those people who would work from not 9 to 5, but probably 8 until like 7 o'clock, and I would come home and just chuck something into my face, whatever I find, which is just one type of corporate behavior that I think many of us are the victims of, not victims. Yeah. Guilty of. I don't want to portray myself as a victim, but then I think partially, and I don't want to speak for everybody, but for some people, partially it's a choice as well, what they make time for. And I think if you have a passion in creating a better life for yourself and for everybody else, there's a lot of self-love involved as well. Is that I'm going to take care of this body as a temple and put the right food in it that is not only healthy, but is only not consciously does not harm others as much as possible. Then it's a lot of self-love, I think, as well.
That's perfect. I mean, that defines it all. It's beautiful. You know, whether you go to the gym or whether you play piano or do art or do whatever that fulfills your soul. Cooking is very important to us because we know it fulfills our body with good stuff. You're a musician, so you know about time taken to play and to learn and that it takes, and it's well worth it for mental and physical health.
And I think that the reason why I also sort of started to like cooking is because I cook for you. So helping others and the the element of service, I think, helps as well. So maybe if you join, if you make time in the weekends for joining for Hare Krishna making vegan food, or you started work with the community and maybe create a community kitchen, that can really help to bring it into your life. And then maybe that is going to be your job eventually. So actually your full-time work is helping others, and it's not only food, it can be anything else, whether you open a repair shop or a
book,
social care system, whatever it's book swap,
swap shop or whatever it is.
Is it not what we should be doing anyway? All of us, I suppose.
Sharing what we have and sharing our passions.
Okay,
I think it's time to eat.
We are going to do
Do you want to
Lady and the Tramp again.
Yes, that's the night.
You can go first, please.
Oh, this is going to be dirty.
Okay.
Right. I do have a very big mouth.
Come a little closer.
I do have a very big mouth, so I'm going to enjoy this.
I'm going to watch. Ooh.
Is
it good? This is the Toby taste test. If he's doing the voice, then it's fine.
This is amazing.
Is it?
The sauce, the combination of vegetables. I'm sorry, I'm talking with my mouth full, but
you're doing a book. You know what a mukbang is?
What? What's a mukbang?
If you are in my generation, you know what mukbang is. This is one. It's a cooking talking show.
Spitting everywhere. And are you going to have a bite?
Yeah, I'm going to.
Yes, because I think it's well.
I'm quite self-conscious, so I will just turn away.
I can see you.
It's good.
You like?
Yeah.
It's really good.
You got some.
I know. I've probably got juice everywhere, but that's.
I think you should get up anyway.
It's one of the beautiful things about this. So I think we should wrap up, shouldn't we? Was there anything else very quick on YouTube or anything?
Oh my
Go
on. So yeah, I think we should also send a big bye to Terry and Christian, our amazing director and producer.
Yeah. Thank you both so much.
We have been watching what we eat every single week. You never get it.
One day we'll share this with you. You know, we'll have the opportunity.
When the lockdown is over, you guys come over and you cook all of them.
And you cook all of them. Yeah, because
can you send us one in the post?
Oh, we could. Dried squashed burger.
My favorite.
Everyone's favorite.
Yay! I can't wait to have dinner with you guys when lockdown is over.
Oh, it'll be beautiful. And you're cooking, obviously, because you know how to cook all these amazing foods.
Maybe make it into an Extinction Rebellion event in the park.
Ah, that'd be brilliant. All of us together.
That's true. Should we wrap this up?
Food rebellion. Food rebellion. Food rebellion.
It's coming to you soon.
I'm hungry.
All right.
Right.
Thank you for staying with us today, despite our silliness, or because of that.
Thank you so much. Always a pleasure. Peace and love.
Take
Hashtag
care.
no going back. We don't need the normality that's brought us to this pain.
Hashtag changes now.
Hashtag.
That was cringy. Bye.
Wow, that was amazing. And I can't wait for my flat squash dried burger in the post. Thanks again for watching Toby and Dora on Food Rebellion. As ever, we'll be back this time on next Sunday at 7 o'clock British summertime. And if you want to find out more about Extinction Rebellion, or maybe sign up to one of your local groups, go to rebellion.earth for the UK or rebellion.global. And we're active in 68 different countries across the world. Thanks for watching. Peace, love, respect, and a little bit of rage.